Breaking. High Court upholds Nakacinda's jail sentence. PF in shock. Breaking from Lusaka, the High Court has made its final ruling, and it's a massive blow to the Patriotic Front. Raphael Nakacinda, the PF's outspoken spokesperson and one of the party's most vocal defenders, will remain behind bars. His appeal has been dismissed, the judges standing firm that the original conviction must stand. The decision has sent shockwaves through Zambia's political circles. PF members call it a political witch hunt. Others are calling it justice taking its course. But what really happened in court? What arguments swayed the judges? And how will this verdict reshape the future of the PF, already struggling to rebuild after the fall of Edgar Lungu? Tonight, we unpack the full story, the court's reasoning, the reactions, and what this ruling truly means for Zambia's political balance. Welcome to InspirAfrica Official, where we go beyond the headlines to bring you truth, context, and analysis on Africa's biggest political stories. In today's report, the High Court's decision to uphold Raphael Nakacinda's jail sentence has reignited debate across Zambia. Supporters see him as a victim of political persecution under the UPND government. Critics argue it's a reminder that no one is above the law. We'll take you inside the courtroom to understand what led to this ruling, the evidence the judges relied on, and how this verdict could shift the power dynamics within the PF and Zambia's opposition movement. Stay with us as we break down the reactions, the legal implications, and what comes next for a man once seen as the voice of the Patriotic Front. Was this justice served, or political punishment? Watch to the end for full context and expert insight into Zambia's evolving political landscape. Subscribe for more verified political documentaries and breaking stories from across Africa. Breaking news out of Lusaka this afternoon. The High Court has officially upheld the jail sentence of former Patriotic Front Information and Publicity Chairperson, Raphael Nakacinda, sending shockwaves through Zambia's political landscape and sparking heated debate across the nation. In a ruling delivered earlier today, Justice Charles Zulu dismissed Nakacinda's appeal, reaffirming the lower court's decision that found him guilty of defaming President Hakainde Hichilema through what the court described as false, reckless, and malicious statements. The judgment effectively means Nakacinda will continue to serve his custodial sentence unless his lawyers succeed in taking the matter to the Constitutional Court. Moments after the verdict, PF spokesperson Emmanuel Mwamba addressed reporters outside the courthouse, calling the decision a dark day for justice and democracy in Zambia. Mwamba accused the ruling UPND government of using the judiciary to silence dissenting voices, saying, "Today it is Nakacinda, tomorrow it could be anyone who dares to speak out." Government officials, however, have strongly denied any political interference, insisting that the courts acted independently and that no one is above the law. UPND supporters online have praised the verdict, saying it restores dignity and respect to the office of the presidency. This ruling comes at a particularly sensitive moment for the Patriotic Front, a party already grappling with internal divisions and leadership uncertainty. Many within the PF see Nakacinda's conviction as part of a broader political struggle, one that tests Zambia's commitment to free expression in the post-Lungu era. The question now extends far beyond one man's sentence. It touches the very heart of Zambia's democracy. Where should the line be drawn between free speech and defamation? And what precedent does this ruling set for the nation's political future? Raphael Nakacinda's legal troubles trace back to December 2021, just a few months after President Hakainde Hichilema assumed office. During a media briefing in Lusaka, the outspoken Patriotic Front figure accused the head of state of summoning judges to State House to dictate court outcomes, an allegation that immediately drew widespread condemnation. The United Party for National Development, UPND, and several government officials denounced the statement as false, reckless, and a direct attack on the independence of the judiciary. The government argued that such claims could erode public trust in the courts and undermine national stability. Within days, Nakacinda was arrested and charged under Section 69 of the Penal Code, which criminalizes defamation of the president. The case moved swiftly through the magistrate's court, where prosecutors presented video footage and media transcripts as evidence. In 2023, the court found Nakacinda guilty, concluding that his remarks were not a matter of opinion but a deliberate attempt to scandalize the head of state. Nakacinda's legal team, led by Makibi Zulu, appealed the decision, arguing that the comments were made in good faith and fell under constitutional protection of free expression. However, in today's ruling, Justice Charles Zulu reaffirmed the conviction, stating that the defense had failed to demonstrate reasonable justification or journalistic caution in making such serious allegations. Outside the Lusaka High Court, scenes of emotion unfolded. Dozens of PF members, clad in party regalia, gathered to show solidarity, chanting slogans and singing songs calling for justice and fairness. Online, the reactions were equally polarized. Government supporters hailed the verdict as a milestone for accountability, while civil rights advocates described it as a dangerous step toward shrinking democratic space in Zambia. To better understand the broader implications of today's decision, we spoke to constitutional lawyer and governance analyst, Dr. Mua Chilishi, who has closely followed high-profile defamation cases in Zambia over the years. Dr. Mua Chilesh. This case underscores the ongoing tension between protecting public officials from malicious attacks and safeguarding freedom of expression. The High Court's ruling sends a clear message that speech directed at high office holders, even in a democratic space, must be exercised with responsibility. Otherwise, it carries serious legal consequences. Dr. Chilishi believes that today's ruling could reshape Zambia's political communication landscape, especially as the nation moves toward the 2026 general elections. He argues that opposition figures will now have to carefully weigh their words, balancing criticism with caution to avoid crossing into defamation territory. He also emphasized that public confidence in the judiciary will depend on the consistency of judicial decisions in future cases. If similar rulings apply only to opposition figures and not to those aligned with the ruling party, Dr. Chilishi warns that perceptions of bias could erode trust in the justice system. Across Zambia, the verdict has ignited spirited debate. Some citizens argue that Nakacinda's comments were reckless and disrespectful toward the office of the president, while others insist that the conviction reflects a worrying trend of shrinking democratic space. Human rights advocates and civil society organizations are also expected to release statements in the coming days, assessing whether the case aligns with Zambia's commitments to international conventions on freedom of speech and political rights. For now, Dr. Chilishi concludes, this case is more than a legal matter. It's a test of how Zambia defines the boundaries of political discourse in a maturing democracy. We're coming to you live from the Lusaka High Court, where the atmosphere today has been a mix of tension, disbelief, and strong political emotion. The court grounds were filled with supporters and critics of Raphael Nakacinda, all eager to hear the outcome of his appeal. As early as 8 a.m., groups of Patriotic Front, PF, supporters began gathering outside the courthouse, waving party flags and chanting solidarity slogans. Police officers maintained tight security, erecting barricades to keep rival groups apart. Despite a few heated exchanges, the scene remained largely peaceful throughout the morning. Inside the courtroom, Justice Charles Zulu delivered a detailed 45-minute judgment, citing sections 69 and 102 of the Penal Code, provisions that make it an offense to defame or insult the president. The judge emphasized that while freedom of expression is a constitutional right under Article 20, it is not absolute and must be exercised within the boundaries of respect and truth. After the ruling, PF legal counsel Makibi Zulu addressed the press, confirming that the defense intends to appeal to the Constitutional Court, calling the verdict a serious setback for democratic freedoms. He argued that Nakacinda's remarks were political commentary, not criminal defamation. Meanwhile, outside the courthouse, UPND supporters celebrated, describing the decision as a victory for truth, order, and responsible speech. Some waved placards reading, "No one is above the law." Still, uncertainty lingers. Will Nakacinda be granted bail pending appeal, or will he remain behind bars during the legal process? And what does this mean for his role within the PF, where he has been a key spokesperson and strategist? For now, court officials have confirmed that Nakacinda remains in custody, pending further administrative procedures.
So tonight, Raphael Nakacinda's future remains deeply uncertain.
The High Court's decision to uphold his conviction and sentence marks not just a legal turning point, but also a moment of political reflection for Zambia. The ruling reinforces the country's defamation laws, yet it also reopens old debates about the boundaries of free expression, judicial independence, and political tolerance in a democracy still finding its balance. For Nakacinda, a man once regarded as one of the most vocal defenders of the Patriotic Front, this verdict could significantly alter his political trajectory. His supporters say he has been punished for speaking truth to power, while critics argue he crossed the line between political criticism and outright defamation. Within the Patriotic Front, the mood tonight is one of anger and disbelief. Party officials have vowed to challenge the ruling in the Constitutional Court, promising to fight until justice is done. But beyond the courtroom, analysts say the case could deepen the PF's ongoing internal struggles, as members question how to navigate their opposition role under increasing legal pressure. From the government's perspective, the message is clear. No one is above the law, and public officials must be protected from unfounded attacks. Yet the broader public remains divided. Is this ruling a triumph for order, or a warning shot to silence dissent? As Zambia digests today's verdict, the world is watching. The outcome could influence how future political discourse unfolds, not just in Lusaka, but across the entire region. For continuing coverage, expert analysis, and updates on this developing story, stay tuned to InspirAfrica Official, your trusted source for Zambia's most important political stories and African current affairs. I'm Nakash, and this has been InspirAfrica Reports. Thank you for watching, and good night.